I'm back, and I'm gonna do another sex game YouTube video because I figure you guys must love these videos. This one's gonna be sex game. I like BBW White and Mexican Goth women. Now, I see that everybody loved my other YouTube video, and I know some people might start asking themselves, how come you don't represent or do a proper representation for, plus size white women and plus size Latino women who are in the golf subculture? So I thought I would make that YouTube video and explain that one. When you make these YouTube videos, you try to make them interesting and exciting, because some people might want to know why you like something, why you don't like something, and sometimes when you say I like something or don't like something, they usually want you to give out 3 to 5 reasons, ones that are legitimate, that make sense for your argument. Because sometimes people will make what they call rebuttal videos to kind of disprove why you like this or don't like that. It'll get you forward if you do that. Alright, now when I go to the golf club, and I've noticed this, because a lot of people complain about black men who date white women or Mexican women that are, overweight. And one of the biggest jokes and knocks is that the only time a black man can get a white woman or a Mexican woman if she's fat and out of shape. They always say he can only get the ones that are 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds. And I've already said, like, in at least 8 or 9 YouTube videos on my old YouTube channel and on my new YouTube channels, that that's like about 60% true and 40% BS. Because not every single black man dates a fat white woman or a fat Mexican woman. The reason why you see that is because if you live in a high class or middle class area, you're most likely not to do that. Now, if you live in a low class environment, you're most likely to do that because you probably don't make enough money economic wise for you to do that. Here we're going to talk about what I find physically sexually attractive about white women and Mexican women who are plus size that are golf and punk rock, of course. Now, most of the time you can actually get into a relationship. See, most of us, when we watch movies and television shows, we identify with dating the most physically sexually attractive women on the earth. We want the supermodels, the fitness models, the booty models, the actresses in television and film. We want the cheerleader. We want those desirable women. We want women that are 8s, 9s, and 10s. What happens when you cannot get the women that are 8s, 9s, and 10s? What happens when all those women are in relationships? What happens when those women have been taken by the Chads, the Tyrones, the Brads? I mean, all of you men have heard this on YouTube, right? You all know what a Tyrone is. You heard of what Chad is. You heard of what Brad is. And about 99.9999% Tyrone, Chad, and Brad always take the beautiful, attractive women. Back when you was in high school, college, even at work, you see there's a Chad, a Tyrone, and a Brad. And I'm willing to go as far as to say, even when you go into the nightclubs, the bars, even when you go to your gym, I don't care if it's 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness, Planet Fitness, Gold's Gym, Club Onyx, Club Bay, LA Boxing Gym, I don't care what gym you work out at, 99.999% you're going to see a Chad, a Tyrone, and a Brad, and they're going to be getting the best looking women that you find physically sexually attractive. And a lot of times you get the fat white woman or the fat Mexican woman that nobody wants to ask out to lunch and dinner or for a cup of coffee. Now, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. That doesn't mean you'll always be doing that forever. But I've noticed some stuff and I have to make a YouTube video about it. And that is, I've noticed that men have an easier time taking these type of women out to lunch and dinner for a cup of coffee versus them trying to go after women that are 8s, 9s, and 10s. Now, there's two sides to this argument. One side, you got a group of men saying you're lowering your standards and you're not trying your absolute best. Then another side is the only time you will mess with average or below average women is when you've tried absolutely everything you possibly could do with your options, and for some reason it just isn't working. The reason of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting either new results or the same result. You go insane as a result of that. If you keep going after women that are eights, 9s, and 10s, and they keep rejecting you, and this happens to you 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, you're gonna have to do something different, because the keep going after women that are supermodels, fitness models, booty models, actresses, cheerleaders, the news lady, those are all women we find physically, sexually attractive. But by the end of the day, those women are messing with the Chads, the Tyrones, and the Brads. And you don't want to wait 10, 15, 20 years later, or extreme cases, 25 to 30 years later, for these women to get older and get in their 30s or their 40s or their 50s, and then say, okay, now you can take me out to lunch and dinner, or now you can take me for a cup of coffee. By then, by the time it's 10, 15, 20 years later, or extreme cases 25 to 30 years later, you're probably not going to find these women physically, sexually attractive, and you're not going to be interested because it took too much time for her to make her mind up to date you. Because her mind was on, I want Chad, I want Brad, I want Tyrone. And guess what? Those guys don't care that you're struggling with women. Like, I'm going to make a YouTube video on Sunday called Sex Game. Sometimes some men don't care if you don't have a girlfriend. Because I've noticed this on the internet. I've noticed a lot of guys will laugh and make fun of other men who are average or below average looking in high school and college and at work, and make fun of them because they don't have the ability, they don't have the capabilities to physically, sexually attractive women that they want to ask out to lunch and dinner. And I noticed they get laughed, made fun of, teased, and I've noticed that it's been happening on the internet for the past 9 or 10 years. It's happened on the internet. And most men who are midtowns or incels are sick and tired of people laughing and making fun of them because they don't have the ability, they don't have the capabilities to make women find them physically, sexually attractive, because world's perception is you're boring, you're lame, you're a nice guy, you're a good guy. And because people think you're a nice guy and you're boring, and you read comic books and you love anime and you like video games or computer games and you live in your mom's basement, people laugh and make fun of you. I'm talking about all the stereotypes that they put in the movies and the television shows. Some of it is true, some of it's not true. But that's why the video is being made, to explain what's going on. And then, of course, the other side of it is you did the best you could. You did everything humanly possibly that you could. Now you're going to have to try something that you've never tried before. Now, what I like about the white women that are BBW Goth is that they're very respectful, they're very nice, and they're very flirtatious. You know, all you gotta do is strike up an intellectual conversation, show that you have some intelligence, show that you have some class about yourself, learn how to have some fun, and don't take certain stuff too serious, and you'll have an 80% chance in the future of taking them out to lunch and dinner or for a cup of coffee. They're like their own class. I'm serious. I've seen some white golf girls that they don't look that bad. Like, okay, she's not a supermodel, she's not a fitness model, she's not a booty model, but she still looks good enough to ask out to lunch and dinner. And apparently when you see a guy date a golf woman that's white, that's got to make you wonder, there has to be something good about dating that type of woman. Like, think about it. I've seen it a lot now. Like, I've seen black guys date, you know, the white woman who's 220 230, 240, 250, 260, and I don't see nobody laughing and making fun of him because they understand, okay, he probably have already tried to go after the supermodels, the fitness models, the booty models, the actresses, the cheerleader, the news lady. He's probably even tried to go after women of his own race, and they all rejected him. And he probably figured that because he's a nice guy, a good guy, that he's lame, he's boring, he figured that's not going to work, so he tried something he never tried before. Like, I'm sure you probably have noticed it and wanted someone to give you some answers on what's been going on. I've noticed this for the past 10 years. I've seen black men ask out white women that are goth to lunch and dinner, and guess what? For the most part, I've noticed these guys have had more success. Like, they've had better success. Like, these guys are taking these women out to lunch and dinner. I see them at the movies. I see them at the park. I see them at the gym. Like, they've had good success. Like, it's paying off. Okay, she's fat. She's overweight. You know, she's 220. She's 230. She's 240. She might be 250, 260. Some cases, not all, some cases she's 300 pounds. And I see they had better success. And a lot of people have been making YouTube videos saying, what is going on here? Some people want to say, what if it's a fairly good-looking black guy like me, of my description? And they go, why would a black guy of your description be doing it? And it would probably be the same exact thing. He's a nice guy. He's a good guy. He's probably boring. He's probably lame. And not all women, but some women are into bad boys and players. And I've already made plenty of YouTube videos about the math and science on being a bad boy and a player, and why the bad boy and the player gets more, and why the nice guy and the good guy always loses out every single time. Nobody bothered to ask, what does the nice guy or good guy does in this type of recurring situation? So that's why the video is being made. But as long as you have class about yourself, as long as you show some respect, and as long as you know what you're doing and you play your cards right, anything can and will happen. Now, I don't know how true it is because I've never tried it. I had a friend who've done it. I mean, date these types of women, and he told me there are some freaks in the bedroom. Like, you think the women you see in the movies and television shows are freaks? They take being a freak in the bedroom to the next level. Now, I've never done it, but I've had a friend who date these types of women, and he told me if you ever date a white woman that's goth and overweight, don't judge a book by its cover. Like, don't ever judge a book by its cover. So, I don't know how true it is because I've never done it. But I've seen them at the golf club. And I've noticed black guys be hollering at them, getting the phone numbers, and then maybe 2 months later, maybe 5, maybe 9 months later, I see the guy and the girl out to lunch and dinner, so he must have been successful, so something had to work. Now, I also know that they're more open to being fun and adventurous. Like, if you say, let's go to the park, they're interested in going to the park. If you say, I like Harry Potter, or if I like Lord of the Rings or the Hobbits, they're interested in that. If you say, let's go to Six Flags, Magic Mountain, or Universal Studios, they like to have fun. No matter what it is, they love to have fun. Doesn't matter if it's daytime, nighttime, the weekday, the weekend, they love to have fun. And it doesn't matter if it's adventure fun or just silly fun, they like to have fun. And they like when you talk intellectually intelligent. So that's what I like about the BBW white girl that's a goth. Now let's talk about the Mexican girl, the Latina BBW goth girl. I think they are their own class. You know, they got the killer curves, the big breasts, the big butt, and they're very physically sexually attractive because, again, I see black men asking for the phone number, and again, people be trying to figure out what's going on. To me, it has to work. If you see them going out to lunch and dinner, something has to be working. Now, I've noticed when I go into the golf club, every now and then I might get the BBW white women, and I might get the BBW Mexican women that are golf staring at me. Like, he's bigger, he's strong, he's fast, he's athletic, he plays sports. And usually sometimes I might say hi, or they'll say hi to me. And usually you could be yourself. Like, you don't have to try so hard to impress them. Like, a lot of times we like to impress women way too much, and sometimes that blows up in our face, and then people look at us like, dude, you trying way too hard. Sometimes they'll even give you that look, you're trying too hard. You need to just stop and just have fun and just party and have fun. Don't be trying to take everything literally. If you get rejected, I'm gonna tell you what I've noticed. If they reject you, if you handle rejection very well, they might have more respect for you versus you take the rejection so literally personal that they be like, why are you taking the rejection personal? I just told you I don't like guys that play basketball or football. So why are you taking it personal? So they're honest. Like, if they see something they like, they're not gonna be afraid to tell you to your face if they like something. And if there's something that they find rude and disrespectful, they're not going to be afraid to tell you to your face that you've done something that's rude and disrespectful. So they're honest. They have no problem with being honest in a good way or honest in a bad way. And from what I heard, there's some freaks in the bed. So whenever I see the golf Mexican girl with the big butt and the big breasts, every now and then I get the smiling because it's easy to dance with them at the golf club, at Bar Sinister in Hollywood. Now, these two types of women have been unrepresentative. The word unrepresentative means nobody promote these women. You know, these are the type of women that they make fun of in movies and television shows. You know the terminology joke, oh, she's easy? Well, that's not true. Because whenever I do see a black guy do get rejected by the white golf BBW, or get rejected by the Mexican BBW golf girl, that's not always true. Like, when they say, oh, she's easy, not all the time. To me, that's called watching too much television and too many movies and being delusional. That's called wishful thinking. Because there are times where you get rejected, and you can see why you got rejected. And then there are times that you get rejected and you don't understand why you got rejected. So these two types of women they like to make fun of in movies and television shows and say, oh, she's easy. And then when you get rejected by her, you find out that she's not easy. She's just like any other type of woman that you got rejected by before. I mean, I'm just trying to explain to you what I like. And sometimes they have friends that are single, that are trying to get into relationships. And you'll find out that if you play your cards right, they'll find you someone that's single, and then it may not be the woman that you're looking for, but you'll be able to have a girlfriend. So this video was to try to explain why I like it. Now, people might say, what about the weight limit? Like, how big is too big? I would probably say if the girl's 300 pounds, that's a bit big. And usually the rule with that is, if that person's that big, you gotta say, I can make a rule of exception. Like, some guys have different standards. Some guys have different weight limits. Like, for me, I would probably say for the BBW white golf girl, I would probably say between 190 to like maybe 240 pounds, 240, 245. If for some reason 250 or 260, it won't bother me as much. Same thing for the Latina golf BBW. If she's 190, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I'm not in perfect athletic shape. It may look like I'm in perfect athletic shape, but I'm not perfect. Nobody is. A lot of times my weight goes up and down. Like, seriously, my weight goes up and down. So that's why I said 190 you know, to like 220, 230, 240. For some reason, 250, 260 would probably be like the cutoff. If for some reason 300 pounds, if I find the woman physically, sexually attractive, I would probably say, okay, I could make a rule of an exception. Now, I normally don't get women that big, but you know, some people will ask that billion-dollar question, what if you get someone bigger than you suspect? How would you handle it? So I'm basically telling you in the video how to actually handle it. You say, normally, I don't do this or I don't do that. Now, if it's just to dance and to have fun, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Now, if you're talking about pursuing a relationship, like I said, I don't get nobody that big. Like the last time I saw somebody that big was probably maybe 3 years ago, 400 pounds. But that was because it was nighttime and it was Halloween. So normally I don't ever get women that big. Like, it'd be very rare if I get somebody that big. I usually get somebody that's 220, 230, 240, 250. Every now and then 250, 260, that's it. The only time I've seen somebody 300 pounds, 400 pounds, it might be if I'm not from that city or from that state. Like if I go to some place like San Diego or some place like Chicago, then yeah. Same thing with the punk rock chick. You know, usually they like to have fun. So, yeah, sorry for the audio disruption. You know, we got fire trucks coming through here. We got trucks. So you're probably trying to hear me and you can hear people in the background. Like today's Friday, like everybody's out to the park. So I apologize for that. Normally I would be filming this type of video at my dad's house, but my dad likes to stay inside the house. And sometimes people like to come over, so I go to the park. I try to change up the film locations so it ain't so predictable. If I go to the Grove too much, then you guys will notice in the video I go to the Grove too much. If I come to the park, you guys will notice I come to the park too much. So I'm trying to change up the locations. Next week we'll be at the Grove where you won't hear as many fire trucks and disruptions as much. Sometimes people like to watch me do YouTube videos and they sometimes get a little too nosy, and sometimes I want them to move out of the area of why I'm filming, because if they hear their voice and not my voice, it messes up the YouTube video, and then you can't understand what I'm saying in the video, and then you guys might put in the comment section, only heard some of the stuff. Can you make a part 2? Can you redo the video over? Because that happened to Dr. Zachary yesterday. He cut a very good video, and where he was at filming the video, too many people were talking too much, and he couldn't hear himself in his own video, and then he had to do the video all over again. So that's why I'm apologizing for all the disruptions. Until then, peace.